everyone's idea is as valuable as mine. We're all creators.
Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. Today I am doing Culture Clash with my two guests here, and you'll know why it's called Culture Clash once they introduce themselves. Joshi and Noelle, go first. Tell us where you're from, background.
All right, my name's Josh. I'm from Bangor, Northern Ireland, which is a town near Belfast. It's a wee seaside town.
You guys can already pick up the accent.
Yeah, and so I've been in Liverpool for about 4 years now.
Right.
I've been studying architecture, similar as yourself, me being third year now and you being second year masters.
Cool, nice intro. Noelle, your turn.
I'm Noelle. I'm from a town called Concert, like outside. Well, it's actually County Durham, but yeah, Newcastle. Pretty much everyone would be Geordies there. But I moved there when I was 6 from New York. I was born in Manhattan, and then lived in the Bronx. Moved here when I was 6, and then moved to Liverpool when I was 18.
And as you guys know, sorry to cut you off, I'm Kurdish, born there in Slimani, partly lived in Syria for a couple of years, and then moved to the UK. So now you guys have a foundation of why this is called Culture Clash. Noelle, I'm very intrigued. Being born in New York, have you spent a lot of time there, or did you move to the UK quite quickly?
Well, my mum was there like 10 years.
Okay.
So she's from Concert as well, like literally down the street. And then she did like nannying. So she went Germany and for like a year, and then went to New York. So she was there 10 years, and then I was there for 6. So I can remember like quite a bit because I was a bit older. Like I remember more than like
what
my
age
brother
did you
and
move to
sister.
the UK?
6.
6?
Yeah.
Okay. But your first initial memories and thought patterns were put together in New York.
Yeah.
Do you see any major differences between America and New York, or even America in New York and Los Angeles and things like that?
I can remember my childhood from like that age, 6, because probably it was better. It was more fun. Like we did way more because it's living in a town to do free things. Like you can't do that much.
Yeah.
Living in New York to do free things, you can do quite a lot. Like going around Central Park, like I can actually remember a lot more. And like our neighbours had like pools and stuff. We used to have a street party. Like we literally lived in the Bronx, so like it's not like it's, do you know what I mean? The Bronx is literally the ghetto. The whole street would be cut off from like boat. Like the street was
Is that
really
a block
long.
party?
Yeah, but it was a
that called-
street. So
Oh,
and then
so,
this woman at the top of the street would like organise it every year. Like this, you know, the fire hydrants.
Yeah.
They'd have them out as sprinklers. Like the water
I've
would be
seen
coming
that
out.
in
What, they pop 'em
cartoons,
open
right?
sort of thing?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I don't know what they do, but I just remember water coming from the fire hydrants. They'd have like food stalls and then like bouncy castles, and that was like free, like for the whole street. That was really cool. So I think because when we were there, I did cool things, but then when we came England, I literally can't really remember much because we didn't do anything.
Let's go back to New York for a split second. What was the ethnicity of the people that you were around?
Probably is like white would have been the minority. Our school was very big though, so I went to school, like, you know, if you turn it into school years here, my school there would have been from like nursery up until 18. That it was a massive building. Like it was everyone in one. And as well, like every single morning you'd have to like sing the national anthem, and every single morning, and recite all the presidents. I literally used to know all the presidents in order, and you'd have to recite the Pledge of Allegiance every morning. And a different class would be picked, and then 2 people from that class would be picked, and I did it once. So you'd had to go to this office. Literally took like 20 minutes to get to this office, and you'd have to sing. Like one time I sung the national anthem on the microphone, like on the loudspeakers of the whole school.
Nice.
That was actually quite funny. It's very patriotic there, but when I came over here, up until like 16, I was so far behind because you don't learn anything, like literally anything.
Were your neighbours or the people on the block on the street, were they Puerto Rican, black, white?
There was a guy called Mohammed who was like our like family friend. He was, I can't remember what ethnicity, but he was Muslim, because I can remember my mum saying after 9/11, she was there when 9/11 happened. She actually watched it happen.
Oh, wow.
Because she was pregnant with me. She was going to like an appointment to see if I was like what gender I was, and then that happened. But when after 9/11, his windows were getting smashed in all the time. Like it obviously wasn't him. Like I don't really get it. But Americans are way...
Well, even in your area that was full of like
the Bronx
minorities.
the Bronx of everyone knows there's barely any white people there, but
yeah.
He was getting like his windows smashed in, like he was terrorized. He didn't leave the house for months. Like my mom said she had to like go and bring him things and stuff because everyone
that is literally a culture clash. If you no offense to Mohammed,
even though in America there's more, like, and even black people will speak about it, like even I would say there's more black people in America. Black people speak about how it's worse for them there than it is in Europe.
To be honest, I have met black people from America who've said it's less racist here.
It is, yeah.
Especially in England. So I don't know about different parts of Europe, but especially
in
England.
Because when I, like, let's say I'm going on holiday somewhere, like, I search. So I'll, like, search up or, like, even, like, on TikTok and look at, like, black female, like, content creators and see which countries are good to go. Like, do you know what I mean? So before I go to a country, before I go on holiday, I know what people are going to take to me. So, like, in Italy, when we went to Italy, I knew before I went that I was going to get stared at, but at least I knew before I went, do you know what I mean?
Right. Interesting. That is a great backstory. So we'll lead into you. Let's go.
Okay.
Your upbringing, when you came to Liverpool, how it felt. And I don't think it was that different because Liverpool is full of Irish people. So you must feel at home here, right?
It's a home from home and it's also not in a way. So it's a bit different. So like very different experience as to Noelle. So I like where I'm from, what do you call, you're either born into the lucky homes of a free mind, or you're born into the home of a mind chosen for you.
Interesting.
And it takes, you know, outside knowledge and education, and takes meeting people. It takes growing
you
as a person.
You told me something. I remember asking you if you had met any black people or Kurdish people or non-Irish people where you grew up, and the answer was quite interesting. I think you said very few.
Oh no, like I lived in Bangor all my life, so I have, and I went to my primary school was around the corner from my childhood home, and it was a mixed school, but I don't mean mixed racially, I mean mixed sexually. Blokes and girls.
Just gender.
And then I then went to an all boys grammar school for my secondary school, and you used to go on to college and all that. We stayed in the same 7 years, so I ended up staying and did my sixth form in the same school building. And like, to give you an example in terms of that sort of questioning, like, so in my own school year group, there was Abby, and I'll have to think if there's any more. Abby Jane. Well, non-white. What do you call it?
In the whole school or the...
No, but I'm thinking of my own year group, so I'm gonna go back to my own year group. Abby Jane, what do you call one of my mates? I used to play a lot of cricket with him.
Because even in my year group though, there was only me and Sanji, like this boy who was Indian. That was it.
Yeah,
so wait, I'm realising something. Both of you grew up in towns, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my town, like, ethnicity-wise, is probably, like, I've been Bangor, so I know how white it is there. Like, my town's getting a little bit more... My town's, like, 1% more diverse than his town now, but, like...
They're both very low.
Yeah.
Though, especially in comparison to a Liverpool and a Manchester or London.
Like, my school, when I was in that school, the whole school, secondary school, ethnicity-wise, I would honestly say 5 people who weren't white.
Wow.
Until the refugees came. We actually got refugees when I was like in sixth form, like about 10 or something.
Were they Middle Eastern? Where were they from?
Syria. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that wave of Syrian immigration.
And people actually, really surprisingly, people took to them quite well. And like, it was really nice to see like the other kids were helping them out because they had iPads to like translate. And I was so surprised by that, like, because the school's a bit kind of hit or miss. But like I would say like, when it comes to being stared at and stuff, like in concert, maybe just because I lived there, I'm like, it is racist and people said things to me, but I never felt like that stared at in comparison to like Bangor. Like, people looked at me like I was like some sort of like mythical creature, like brought from like some outer space.
So you didn't like it, fair to say, when you moved to Josh's hometown momentarily over the summer?
In terms of like feeling, I'm used to Liverpool and people not looking at me, so it was very different. It was a massive like
you stand out
change
in Bangor.
Yeah, people literally staring at me all the time.
Did you not also? She also worked there, right?
Yeah.
I had a few few comments like I had the where you from so many times, and I'd be like Newcastle, because the thing is like when I can see that people are being rude, even though I was born in New York, I just pretend I was born in England. So when people are like, where you from, I'm like, England. And then they're like, where you from? And I'm like, England, like, just to make them feel so stupid about themselves.
Does it matter how that question is phrased? Because I've asked you your ethnicity many times.
Yeah, there's ways to word it. You know that there's ways to word it. There's ways, like, where it's patronising, and there's, you can ask, like, you can be white and you can say to me, like, oh, like, where are you from? Like, tell me about your culture, because I love to know about people's culture. So if I see someone from India or Africa, like, I will ask them about their culture, but there's ways to ask people them questions, and I can tell, like, there was a few people, not everyone in Northern Ireland, like in Bangor, asked me rudely. Majority of people did. There was a few people who were nice to me and like asked me in nice ways and was just interested. But I can tell that, so I would answer and tell them about me and tell them where I'm from. But people like, even like, because I had my braids in actually, didn't I, when it was in Bangor? Yeah. Remember when we went out to Belfast, the amount of like girls that were like touching my hair, and I was like grabbing my braids. Like this girl like grabbed my braid from behind and literally turned around. Like, you just can't like you just don't do that. Like it's just rude.
You can't do that. No, that's very. That was actually a little side note. That was actually a little viral story recently. I don't know if you saw it on the news outlets and on things like Piers Morgan or Censored. Mm-hmm. There was a lady, an African lady, I believe. I don't know her exact ethnicity. She went to this dinner or drinks event at Buckingham Palace.
Oh, I know what you're on about now. Yeah.
And I think she was arguing the same thing. She was like, she didn't like the way she was asked where she was from, rather than being asked.
Yeah, it's your intentions, and like people, you can be white and you can, it's just like, it's hard to explain, but you know, like you can tell, like I have no issue with people asking me where I'm from, like, do you know what I mean? But
no, it's relatable.
It's the intentions behind it. Like you can tell when someone's so close-minded and like, I don't know, it's just hard to explain, but you can just tell the intention. Like,
it's cultural norms, and that's how you get to the culture clash part of it, because for some reason in some groups in England, and I mean, power dynamics exist everywhere, but let's stick to England for now. There are certain places where white groups of people see themselves as superior. So therefore, if they see me on a certain level, firstly, they're shocked. Oh, wow, you were able to do this.
Yeah.
Or like, it's almost like they expect us to be below.
Yeah.
Whether it be financially, knowledge-wise, they just don't expect too much from non-white people.
They're like surprised that like you're at university or like you're like a member of society.
So this for you is a bit surprising because you've never had that in your life. Or do you ever see a conflict between English and Irish? Ever?
Oh, massively. Massively. I mean, massively.
No, but in a way that it's blatant, like her.
Oh no, mate! I'm not gonna make apples out of oranges and like compare my experiences being English and Irish like that to racism. You know, I'm not gonna.
But it's also
cheapen it.
It's the Irish to the English though, because the English like there's not like it's not English to the Irish. It's like when I came uni and there was loads of Northern Irish, I did not know that the Irish hated the English so much. I was like, why do they hate us? Like, I don't understand. And then obviously you explain and I learn and stuff like that. But again, like, that's not our fault.
Can you explain that to me? Because I actually didn't know that. So why do Irish people dislike English people? Why is there a culture clash? Forget the IRA and all of that.
No,
I just wanna, was it to do the monarchy, inequality, poverty?
Oh, loads of things. Monarchy, poverty, governmental policies.
Just like explain
farming,
what the British government
did. Yeah, so like the British government had a rule over Ireland, but they never quite fully got the whole of Ireland.
So that's why you guys are split.
Yes. So the population was obviously Ireland, Scotland, and Wales, and England. Ireland, Scotland, and Wales are Celtic.
Right.
In terms of like the people
the
generally are Celtic.
Heritage.
You got Welsh Celtic, Irish Celtic, Scottish Celtic. Yeah. Generally, that's the what their original people generally. And before that, whoever it was, they killed after. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Land, people take land and then it's their land and then it's not. But generally, with the English or the Saxons. So I've lost my point now. Where am I on about? Sorry.
Why? So like basically, you just need to explain like what the British government did to Ireland.
So basically, what do you call whenever England were sorry, I'll stop.
So
whenever England were like going around the world doing their empire stuff, they tried to take over Ireland and they couldn't quite get all of it. and with like sort of Oliver Cromwell and all that. They never quite gave up. And whilst, you know, like whenever like America became the new land, so people from Scotland and like Wales and Ulster Scots, they immigrated over to Ireland, and then that population of immigration sort of residually ended up in the north, Northern Ireland, and then in 1921, after years of uproar and fighting and terrorism and lots of other things, then the country Northern Ireland was created in 1921 and separated from the Republic of Ireland.
And the Republic of Ireland.
Yeah, two separate countries.
And which side is in favour of the English rule?
It's not a case of each side, it's just that, so as it stands right now, you've got Northern Ireland as a separate country and the Republic of Ireland. In Northern Ireland, as a citizen, you can hold two passports. You can hold a passport to the British
That's where you're from, right?
Yeah, well, no, you can hold a British passport, but you can also hold an Irish passport. So I can hold dual citizenship. So I can, even though I live in this forget about the words Northern Ireland. If I live in this bit of landmass, I can view myself as Irish, and I am Irish.
But if you're from the Republic of Ireland,
no, but it's not. I'm not from Republic of Ireland. If I'm living in that bit of land, Northern Ireland, okay. If I'm living in that bit of land, I as a citizen can view myself as Irish, and the only thing is I have to spend British money still anyway. That's another thing. But the point is, you can view yourself as Irish, and that's that, and you don't have to view yourself as British. You don't, you know what I mean?
I feel like when you explain it, you make it so. I was so confused for ages because I did not understand what you were going on about. It's like you've got Northern Irish Republic of Ireland. Take Republic of Ireland out of it because they're not really like to do with it in this sense. In Northern Ireland, you've got the people who but in Northern Ireland, you've got the people who count themselves as Irish, and the people who would say they were Northern Irish or British.
Yes.
Is how I because it was difficult for me to understand. Because when you go over
it's
there,
like three types of people.
But then in the Republic, you'd use euros. You're less.
No, in Republic of Ireland, it's a completely separate country.
Yeah, it's a separate country.
Separate country. It's yours.
So, but it's still in the European Union, for example.
They're in the EU. Yes.
But the people who in Northern Ireland who would say like they were Irish wouldn't particularly like in Britain as much, and they would like not want to be part of Britain. This is how I like understood it.
Well, it seems to me that the people from the Republic of Ireland would be more anti-Britain, no? Because they completely separated.
No, because it's a really hard thing to like you could almost do the whole debate just on this because there's so many.
I would not do that.
no, but you'd have to get more people in them. You'd have to
it's confusing because it's like you've got to say different things around different people, and it's like. What was that thing with like Londonderry and Derry? And it's like, I just thought it was Derry because my friend from
Northern Ireland.
No, but my friend from Northern Ireland who's over here was like, oh, I'm from Derry. So I thought it was just Derry.
What's Derry?
A place. Like, like Liverpool, for example. But if you're Protestant and on that side and would count yourself as like in Britain, you've got to say Londonderry. It's like I said my friend was from Derry to someone in Bangor and they were like, oh, Londonderry, and got like aggy about it, but like I was like, this is what I mean. Like, there's the different words.
So like it all depends. So that's like I'm trying to say. So like, there's so many angles to go on. So there's Northern Ireland, there's Ireland. Okay, if you live in Northern Ireland, you can call yourself Irish, British, or Northern Irish
without there being any issues.
Yes, that's the point, and that came from the Good Friday Agreement. Okay, and that was a huge thing that took many years to happen, and it happened in I looked it up there before quickly. I think it was 1989, 90. I think it happened in the end. But then you've got how that sort of tree classifies down again. You've then got, well, why are you Northern Irish? Why are you Irish? Why are you British? Why? It comes down to largely things like, it comes largely down to religion, which comes down to Catholicism and Protestantism. And obviously you've got many other subcategories of all that, but that's the main two. And it's not every Irishman is a Catholic. Not every Northern Irishman is a Protestant. Not every British man is a Protestant. However, just like all stereotypes, there's an element of truth. Most Irishmen are Catholic. Most Northern Irishmen are Protestant. Do they go to a day in church? Do they go to mass? Do they? Can you swear?
Go swear.
Do they fuck? Do they fuck go? Do they fuck go to the church?
I love that.
Do they go to the cathedral? Do they go to mass? Do they fuck? But the point is, so like whenever you're in your home, you're growing up, your dad, your mum, whatever, your family. If your dad and your mum are so heavily held they're Protestant, you're going to be raised a Protestant, so you are. Oh, that's not good. The lights have gone off.
Why did the time
No
out,
way.
people? Okay, what have you two been talking about?
Oh, well, I was just saying that he needs to... I explained to him the thing that he was trying to explain to you about Northern Ireland because he makes it so complicated.
We can jump back into that. First and foremost, if you don't know what happened, the lights turned off. It's a bit mad, right?
Yeah.
And then there was some weird ass noise, which we kind of had to fix. So that was like a little mini timeout. Noelle and Josh kept talking though. I have that audio and video. I'd probably put that into a different segment of you two just going off on your own. But yeah. What did you just say to me? And provide the explanation, please.
Oh, what I was explaining to him. Because when Josh explains things, he really makes it very complicated. And the history and in...
Is that because Josh's intellectual level is just above the rest of us?
No.
No.
It's because he wants to think that it is.
I think
being
it
intellectual is being able to explain, being able to have good communication, being able to explain things is actually being intellectual.
Well, it's like there's that, I can't remember the guy's name, but there's that thing where the best way to learn is learn everything as if you're teaching it to a 5-year-old.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you for that wonderful compliment. You come on my podcast and you disrespect me. You call me a 5-year-old.
No, I'm not saying I'm speaking from that perspective. Sorry, but I'm not saying I do that.
That's how you.
See,
it's quite a hard thing to speak about.
That was stereotypically Italian. How many Italians did you meet in New York?
I was 6, so I can't remember. I don't know. There's only a few.
A few.
There's only a few people that like stood out to me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, let's get back onto the point that you were just gonna make.
Oh, what explaining?
Yeah.
So what Josh was trying to explain, from what I have gathered through eventually understanding what Josh was trying to explain for many months, is you've got, in Northern Ireland, you've got two sort of sides. Also, you've got the people in the middle and the people who don't strongly support either side, who maybe loosely support either side. But you've got the people who like Britain, like to be part of Britain. They call themselves Northern Irish, and that also tends to side with Protestants. Am I right? Yeah.
And something else, unionism.
Right. Okay.
Unionism. What the hell? What is that?
And then
We'll let
the other side is the people who would say they're Irish and would be offended if you called them Northern Irish and don't like Britain and don't want to be part of Britain, and they would be like Catholics. But then again, to be fair, like even the ones that would say that they're like Northern Irish and like Britain, they don't like the English really either too. So I don't really understand.
That's interesting. I'm just seeing a lot of English hate here. What's going on? What's going on, my guy? What's going on?
I know, because I was so confused because there's so many Northern Irish people in Liverpool and Newcastle. But like in first year, like when in our accommodation there was loads. And then I was like, why do they hate us? Like what? Like why are there so many of them here?
So even though you're mixed race, do they still put you under the bracket of English?
Oh, it was a bit. But then it's But then when we went, it was weird. It was a weird one because when we were in like Northern Ireland, it was hard like to differentiate like, or do they not like me because I'm English or do they not like me because I'm black? But to be honest,
one did you think it was?
Black. The more outraged because I'm black. Personally, I think.
Being English doesn't help for you.
Yeah. Well, it shouldn't really be a factor. They shouldn't hate me because I'm black, to be honest. But
or English. Well, the English one makes more sense.
The black one, it will be easier to work on, I think, than the English one over there.
Nah.
No, but do you just think, to push the narrative, do you just think that when you go to a place like Bangor, because they haven't met many black people, the way they talk to you, the way they deal with you, the things that you have, your cultural norms and values are very alien and different to them. They almost treat you as if you're Irish or as if you should understand what they're like. Is that right or wrong? Do you think they treat you in a certain way, not intentionally, but almost indirectly because that's what they're like? And to you, that seems a bit different. Like, why are you touching
you
my
can't
hair?
really, like... I understand, like, if you're not around cultures that you can be like surprised when you like there's ways to act, but then again I grew up in a white town, so I never met a black person.
No, but you're cultured by default. You have to
Yeah, but I wasn't raised in culture. My dad's black and he isn't in my life, so I was raised white. My whole family's white. Like I was raised white. So do you know what I mean? Like I can see that side, but then I can also say like I was raised in a white town. I was raised white. Like I thought I was white literally until I came to Liverpool. Like I literally thought I was a white person until I met my first black person when I was in Liverpool. I was actually 18 years
Really?
old. Yes.
Okay, this is...
Do you know what I mean though? So like I understand the side of like, oh, if you grow up surrounded by one culture, I get that, but I also was surrounded by one culture and I was raised white. So, but when I came to like Liverpool and I met other cultures that I wasn't around, like Muslims and all this, like I just knew how to not be rude. Like I understand, but like I don't want to make excuses for people for just being ignorant and being rude, because in what world would you just think it's okay to go over and touch a stranger's hair?
That is
it's just
quite
not.
interesting,
That's just
gonna lie.
rude, like blatantly rude. And I understand. Like I got like there was a few people like who said things like, this girl was like, oh my god, like you're half caste, that's so cool, and like obviously I was a bit taken back, but she's just was clearly uneducated and a bit stupid.
Wait,
and
is
that's
that offensive?
Half caste.
yeah, it's yeah.
Half caste.
Growing up, people always just use mixed race.
Yeah.
But then honestly, like with all due respect to everyone listening, I don't know what to say or not say anymore. Everywhere you go, something else is offensive. Like in all honesty,
I think like mixed race is.
I've heard people say to me, "Don't say mixed race."
Yeah, see, I've had multiple people say like it's even like some like it's like black or coloured. Is it like at different points of my life? Now my life's different to yours in terms of what I've been experienced, and not as much diversity and all that. But even like my life, I've grown up like learning one's okay, and then like coloured people. I think was like at one stage.
Yeah, because
okay,
in it
but then what do you call it? It's not
coloured.
okay,
Coloured
black.
wasn't okay because in America, like when segregation was a thing, it was coloured. So personally, like I know a lot about American history and the whole segregation. I would not want to be called coloured because of the way that white people called
because it was like
black
ways
Americans
to differentiate. So for example, in a studio, we'd say not for coloured people.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I wouldn't want to be called that.
Even water fountains. Like we will get into American history and racial things because culture clash in essence. But I want to go back to your childhood and growing up in Newcastle. We've spoken about this off mic or off air, but I will need to explain to the listeners and the viewers how do I word this properly? You had issues in your high school.
Yeah.
And you had issues in your area because it was predominantly white.
Yeah.
Can you explain that for?
To be honest, I was more so like, I was very immune. I would say, I was very immune to all of that because it got to the point, obviously, when you grow up with that for 18 years, you can't let it like get you down. And I just,
thick-skinned.
Yeah, but like, and as well, I didn't recognize it until like recently I've had to deal with that sort of stuff, and it's all kind of you block things out, like you
get used to them almost.
Well, yeah, and it's like I blocked all that out, and I genuinely like just acted like I was white. Like I knew nothing about my culture. Like I was raised by white people, raised in a white family, so like I just kind of pretended I was white. Do you know what I mean? Until
no black history in school?
No.
What about black friends?
Not till Liverpool.
Not till Liverpool.
There was literally not a black person there. There was one girl that was mixed race, and like that was it. But because it's different when I don't know how people would take to black people in that town, because when you're mixed race, people can decide whether they want to see you as black or as white. So like when I'm back at home, I used to straighten my hair, and when I straighten my hair, people see me as white because.
But it's still thick, no? Because your hair's naturally curly.
Yeah, but like I would get my hair like chemically straightened, so it would almost look like it would look like his hair, like texture. It would look like a white person's hair. So like when like.
But did you do that in any way, like?
I did that. Yeah, I did that because I was uncomfortable with when I had my hair out curly. Everyone was touching it and grabbing it. I straightened my hair because I was uncomfortable with my race and I was uncomfortable being black. It took me. I've only just started to have my hair out curly because I've been so uncomfortable my whole life, and I've been made to feel like curly hair isn't beautiful when it is. Like obviously straight hair, and
it's also more common than people think. A lot of Middle Easterns have curly hair.
Yeah, exactly. But obviously that's, I don't know, you're made to feel like that's not beautiful even though it is. So I was like, I did what I could do to make myself fit in and to make myself fit into
and all of
the
these
people
things
around
were
me.
almost unspoken. So no one said, Noelle, perm your hair. But you felt like in order to blend in and be a bit more like...
Yeah.
I've got a really interesting question. We'll get to both of you for a second. because there's something that the viewers don't know about you guys. But you know, when you were dating in college and in high school, did being black make a difference? Yeah, that is literally the straight up question.
In like back at home, I didn't really like date very many people at all, because even when I was looking back, because I was even showing like Josh photos of me like when I was at home, and it wasn't even as if I was ugly at all. Like I was actually pretty, but you could put me next to someone, a girl back home, and you could put a white girl who was like, if you want to talk about attractiveness, could be less attractive than me, but that boy's going to pick her because she's white. And like, even like, I talk about this all the time. Like, I understand my privilege I understand my privilege being like mixed race, because for black women, it's incredibly hard. The beauty standard for black women is so high. It is absolutely ridiculous. And the beauty standard for white women, like if you're a white blonde woman, the beauty standard is just so low. Like it's so low. Like if you're white and you're blonde, to be honest, just white in general, like you'll just attract so much attention and people just think that you're so attractive. So I didn't really get that sort of attention. And maybe like the few times it was I've never got with a mixed race person before. I've had that so many times. Do you know what I mean?
That's almost like tokenism style thing,
Yeah.
That one threw me off a bit as well, to be honest.
What?
That
Have
particular
you had that as well?
No. I haven't. Hearing her say it kind of just put me off.
Yeah.
Like,
happens.
I wouldn't, that's...
Definitely happens.
I mean, it's one thing when you say I've never dated. Again, it's the way you say it.
Yeah.
But from your experience, they weren't saying it. Okay.
Yeah. But I think at the time, like, it made me obviously feel very bad, because no one, obviously when you're in school, all you care about is boys fancying you, and like no one fancied me. And like like obviously back then I was like, oh, I'm so ugly. My confidence was so low, and the reason no one fancied me is because I was black. Like literally that was the reason. Like, do you know what I mean?
That's
like
how you felt?
Yeah, like looking back at it now, like the boys fancied like less, you could say less attractive girls. Like I don't really like to I don't really like to say it like that, because like, do you know what I mean? But because they were white, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That was kind of deep, in all honesty. Like that was a bit but that was your childhood, that was normalized for you.
Yeah.
So essentially it was hard for you to grow up in an area where you didn't feel represented, where no one outside of your family was black.
But I think I've struggled with that more now than I did when I was back at home. Like,
it's because you realise it
because
now.
I did struggle with it back at home, but I couldn't put my finger like to it. Like I never felt like I knew who I was, and like I didn't really have like a sense of like identity back at home. And I was like, I did struggle like a lot. Like I struggled with mental health a lot, but I just didn't know what it was. Like I didn't know, and that was the biggest, when I realised like that was the biggest thing, like that impacted my life. Like not any issues with family or anything like that. Like that was the biggest thing that's impacted my life. That's something that I've been like kind of working through now. Like, do you know what I mean? Like not something like that I was working through at home.
Is that kind of because sometimes you have to come out of that chaotic area to realise how bad it was, because it almost becomes normalised. But when you take a step away from it, you realise how bad it was.
Yeah. And like as well in Liverpool, I'm just not... When I go back home now, it's just like, I don't really go back home that much, but I'm so used to now, like just no one caring and like being able to just be me and stuff like that. And then like when we went to like Bangor, it was just so... Because I hadn't been home that year. When I go home, I just stay in the house anyway, so I don't see anyone. And then when we went to like Bangor, and then it went from being in Liverpool, like safe place, to like not having any looks and not having people make comments or whatever. It just isn't a thing. To then go into like Northern Ireland, where like the comments were really bad and people...
Or in that particular area, for example. So obviously you're not filled with joy hearing that, and you yourself were there, so you knew what she went through. How do you educate or make the people around you, well, not the general everyday people of Bangor, but how would you go about changing that so someone like Noelle could go there and feel a bit better in the future? We have to integrate, right?
Yeah, well, see the issue until the 90s and 2000s, we were all still killing ourselves. Do you know what the trouble's?
No.
Well, that helps with the questioning now. So now I know you don't know about the Troubles. The Troubles basically was from the 60s, the 80s. It was really bad in the 80s, and that was where the IRA and the UVF and all were fighting, all infighting. And for about 20 years,
oh shit,
Belfast was a war zone. Most bombed hotel in the world is in Belfast, the Europa Hotel. Do you know what I mean? So
they just keep rebuilding it.
Yeah, and they just kept bombing it. Do you know what I mean? So
at some point, when you stop rebuilding it.
Well, it's still there. But the point is, for if this makes sense, if you're an immigrant, you're from Syria, or you're from Ghana, or you're from France, if you're from anywhere in the world, and you hear about all these countries in the world, you see them on the news. If you make it through to Europe, you get through to France, and then you get through to England. Why the fuck were you gonna go to another war zone? Do you know what I mean? So we're years behind. We're years behind.
Yeah, on immigration.
You don't have immigration, therefore you don't have integration.
Yes, we're years behind on immigration because why the fuck am I gonna go across another bit of water to an actual war zone where they're killing each other?
Yeah, I
something much more that you know what I mean. So it's for many years.
That's a fair point.
No, I understand that though, but I don't understand why people our age who have access to social media treat me the way that they did over there. That's what I don't understand.
But that's because that comes into where the environment
but then what
you're brought
does
up
their social
on.
media feed them as well? Because just because someone has access to a phone doesn't
mean
but it's like you have
Facebook.
access. But when you're saying things like this, it's like it makes me upset because it's like you're excusing the way that I got treated there. Like it's not okay. There's always reasons behind why people treat people badly. I know like if you're racist, there's a reason behind that, but I don't care about the reasons behind it. I'm just upset that it happened, and it shouldn't have happened.
Shouldn't have.
No, exactly, but you can't just excuse it every time.
No, it's not excusing it. He's asking me why. He's asking me why.
Yeah, I know
so
why.
That's a really powerful point.
Why.
Yeah. Well, think about it. Manchester, Liverpool, London, England in general has had, I don't know the exact figures and facts, but for the last maybe 70, 90
years, the wind
consistent immigration.
And
it's always edgy at the beginning. So when my father first moved to Manchester, he worked in Oldham, and he always tells me about the practical wars that would happen in Oldham between ethnic people and white people, between Asians and white people.
And Liverpool had the race riots as well.
Exactly.
Like,
I think what me and Josh are trying to get at is because these cities have been through that period of turbulence, their people come out more cultured in the understanding.
No, that obviously makes sense.
We shouldn't have been put through those things.
Yeah, and I understand when you go somewhere that's like white, there's reasons why it's white, and I understand that. But like, if I'm talking about my experience, like, oh, when I was there, it was like hard for me because people didn't treat me very nice. Like, I know why. You've explained to me why multiple times. Do you know what I mean? Like, I do understand why. I know why. I knew Northern Ireland was white before I went there, like, but I just didn't think it would be, because obviously it's 2023. I didn't think it would be as big of a deal as it was. Like, I didn't think it would be so far behind with the times.
But think about it.
Do you know what I mean?
Even your hometown is behind.
Yeah, but my hometown's not as bad as that. Like, it like living there is different because obviously I'm going to be made to feel different. I'm integrated in the society, but people have their opinions, but it comes out maybe when there's politics, like when politics are being spoken about, they'll say things.
Yeah.
But like no one, like when I met people in concert, no one initially treated me bad because of the colour of my skin. But like I would get called names and stuff like in arguments or whatever.
Racial slurs?
Yeah, like I would get called the M-word and stuff a few times, and like, but no one like
ever by kids, by the way, when you were growing
this
up,
was like
by other kids.
Yeah, like year 11 and stuff like that. But like never like when I met other people in the town, did I feel like they treated me differently because of the colour of my skin. But I obviously was a bit oblivious back then, but I didn't ever think that.
Did you ever have anyone to speak up for you when you were in high school?
No.
So you really were like a lone ranger, and whatever happened had to happen because Noelle couldn't fight everyone on their own.
Yeah, and it's not like the teachers. Yeah, it's not like the teachers.
It's happened again.
Yeah, it's the movement, that's why.
It must be, yeah.
I feel like having this on just for a few minutes. Now, I am going to keep a little part in to show you guys what happened. The lights just turned off on us because the studio has a motion sensor. And Josh, you need to come in a bit, by the way.
Times saving and all that.
Yeah. So we could go back onto our point, or I can deviate to Jebster here.
Deviate to Jebster.
Right. Before, you do have to tell us your Jebster story, though, real quick. 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Why do I call you Jebster?
Oh, back whenever I played, back in my secondary school, I played rugby. We had a New Zealander coach in, and
New Zealander, is that what you said?
I was going to say an All Black, but you wouldn't even know if I said an All Black.
I would actually be more. I'd be familiar with that.
Yeah,
term, because
I
I've
know
probably-
All Black, obviously.
Like the New Zealand All Blacks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah. He's
New Zealander.
Yeah, well, an All Black.
Here's an interesting thing, right? If that comment wasn't normalized through the rugby team, me identifying a group as All Blacks, wouldn't that be racist?
No,
What?
I know the All Blacks, like.
No. Forget it's normalized with that team. I get it. That's one of their nicknames, the All Blacks. They play in All Black as well.
Yeah. No, they're All Black because they play in All Black.
Oh, so it's not.
It's on the race.
ethnicity?
No, because New Zealand.
That one right over.
Yeah. Because New Zealand's Maori, and then obviously English in terms of like the whiteness, if that makes sense, and then Australia.
I don't even have. I don't have my Maori necklace on, do I?
No, yeah.
My friends from back home.
Just so you know, it's not for the skin tone. It's for the kid.
Right, I did not know that.
Yeah,
Jebster spaghetti, though.
It's for the kid. Yes. No. So basically, what do you call my All Black coach? I was going to say, but I'm not saying.
Oh, he's from New Zealand.
Yeah. So like they play rugby over there. Like so, you've got in rugby and cricket and all these other sports. You've got Northern Hemisphere and Southern Hemisphere. Northern Hemisphere is obviously like Europe, Britain, Ireland playing rugby, playing cricket and all that. And then you've got the Southern Hemisphere for rugby. You've got your South Africa, New Zealand, Australia. And you've got the Pacific Islands. You've got Tonga, Fiji, Samoa, Japan, Argentina. They play. You know what I mean? So the Southern Hemisphere side, for many years, they've just been better. Generally, the All Blacks have been the creme de la creme of rugby. At the minute, doing quite well.
Why are you called Jebster? I don't understand why are you talking about how the French are I'm so confused.
I don't know. I've got off.
It is so hard to get like a concise answer.
Anyway.
Why are you called Jebster?
I'm called Jebster because I'm called Jebster.
This is what I mean. You've got to keep them on track.
My coach called me Jebster. Could even go there? All right, Jebster.
Are you actually joking?
And then it just went from that, and then from Jebster.
This is what I mean. So you asked why is he called Jebster? The answer was the coach from New Zealand called him Jebster. But no, we had to know that the All Blacks are the best at rugby, and the France are like nearly there, and the Southern like.
No, because
you are so bad at sticking to a story.
No, but I was explaining the reason as why we had an All Black coach. Because the reason is
it's all right. You don't need to explain. It's just funny.
You know what? That was golden.
It's just funny.
I'm trying to explain because all those coaches and all those
have you not noticed how he does this all the time when
all
you
those
speak
mediocre
to him?
players and all those mediocre coaches, they come over to our country and they're like, because they're an All Black, because they're South African, because they're an Australian.
They get the jobs.
They get the jobs, and then they teach.
Yeah.
They're stealing our jobs.
They bloody well do. They bloody well do. No, but
you're stealing our jobs.
Are you pro Brexit?
No.
Nah.
I was just joking, obviously.
No.
Do you guys remember? Oh my God! Have you guys seen that clip from the LBC where someone?
Oh, he banned him from.
He calls
banned him from calling up.
And he says, "I finally agree." Oh my God! He says, "I finally agree with Brexit." And the guy asks him why.
Oh, I shoot this one. Yeah, no. So he rings up.
Got hit in the head.
Oh yeah, a fella rings up Nigel Farage. He's doing his Good Morning Britain, whatever crap he does, and some fella's like, "Oh well, Nigel, I just wanted to say thank you very much for your contribution to what you've done for the British people. Like I myself was a staunch Remainer, an absolute staunch Remainer. However, it wasn't until a significant event that opened my eyes and led me to a new way." And then Nigel goes, "Oh, brilliant. You know, what was that significant event?" And he goes, "Oh, I got hit in the head by a horse." And then Nigel just goes,
"Shall I play the clip?"
You may as well.
Shall I play that part?
Jamie, get the clip up. Jamie.
Yeah, it's not Joe Rogan levels, yeah.
Jamie, pull the clip. Clips on the iPhone now.
Yeah.
European project. I believe that staying in the European Union was the best thing for us. And then something happened, and something monumental happened, and it completely changed my opinion on the whole situation.
What was that monumental thing, Mark?
I was kicked in the head by a horse.
Right, very good.
Very good.
Oh, mate, Nigel Farage, one of the people.
I've got a t-shirt.
Single-handedly.
I've got a t-shirt with him on it.
With Nigel Farage?
Yeah. It's a t-shirt with him.
I thought you were anti-Brexit.
No, you've jumped. You've jumped. I've got a t-shirt of Nigel Farage, and it's the t-shirt of when he had the milkshake thrown over him. So
I've not seen that.
Have you not?
No.
So basically some fella threw a milkshake over him, and there's a picture of him in his suit. Fucking
Who
milkshake
was
all
it
down
that
him.
had the eggs thrown at him? Was that Ed Miliband?
No, that was the king recently.
No.
The king.
The king.
No, it wasn't Charles. Wasn't it Andrew?
Was it the
Andrew.
paedophile?
No, I know before the king's
Yeah.
coronation, but it was Andrew. It was Andrew. Yeah.
Well, I think he deserves worse than that, but
Yeah.
he deserves way worse than that.
Aye.
So you're called Jebster.
Called because of it.
Because France
Because of a
is
nickname.
the second best at
Because
rugby.
of a
and-
nickname. Because of a nickname from a coach, and then from Jebster I went from Jebster to Jebby, and so on, and then I just called Jeb.
Oh, mate.
Jeb? Who calls you Jeb?
Most people. Jeb or Josh.
Really? Jeb?
Jeb. I've never heard Jeb.
I heard
No.
Jebby, like
Jebby and
Jebster.
Jeb. Jebby
I
and
don't
Jeb.
hear Jeb.
Jebster sounds lit.
Yeah, Jebster, but not Jeb.
What'd you call him?
Josh, I never call him any of them.
You call him Joshy.
Oh, I call him Joshy, yeah.
Joshy. Joshy's cute.
Exactly, Joshy's a good one.
Yeah. Adorable. Adorable.
Hello.
Yeah. Looking forward to more tangents.
But that was a tangent.
But so Noelle's given us her experience in high school. Yours would be the complete opposite because you're amongst all of these other people that are Irish, that look like you, talk like you, that put there at the end of every sentence. So
No, I think that's a Josh thing. That is literally a Josh thing.
Yeah.
I think the listeners are picking that up slowly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite different to other. Like, my English is different to your English, but my own actual English
Do you know what he
is different
speaks?
to my own.
Gibberish.
Yeah, it's gibberish.
I literally
do
thought
speak
it was
gibberish.
Northern Irish until I literally met and I was like, this isn't a Northern Irish thing.
It's
He
a
speaks
Josh thing.
gibberish. He just I have to translate for him all the time because now I understand what he says when he's speaking gibberish. But I told you the other day, it's so funny when we're on holiday and he's speaking to the locals and he's like, oh, that over there, speak, and I'm like, they obviously don't understand you. You don't even speak English. Never mind, so that they understand you.
I know.
You're so bad for it. You do it every time.
When Josh talks to you, he'll come in and he'll be like, are you in a SLB there? Or do you
Yeah.
want any food there?
Yeah.
And it's like, even if the sentence ends in there, there's another there.
What is it? The other thing you say when you answer the phone?
Hello?
What, yellow?
No, you say something else though. You yourself there.
Yourself? How's it going?
So you'll answer the phone. You'll be like, yourself there. What the fuck? What does that mean?
Did you get kicked in the nose by
Maybe I did.
I don't know who taught you English because it doesn't make
I
sense.
think I did teach myself.
Yourself
I used to go to speech therapy, you see, for a wee while.
Did you start?
No, I don't actually see, my head's a bit mush, you see, sometimes. So I don't really remember the ins and outs as to why I was doing speech
Sometimes
therapy.
you're just a
other
bit
than the simple
more
fact that I
behind.
just don't speak very well sometimes.
My brother did speech therapy. It's just some kids' development's a bit slower than others.
Or is that when they don't talk at a young age?
It's like
Oh no, I was
find
talking,
it
but I was
difficult.
I think it was just pronunciation of
Yeah.
words. I can't actually remember really why I was in it. My sister had to do it from a bit. I don't think any longer than me, but she had to do it from to change her to that, from her der to there. Done.
yeah, a lot of
How
kids
do
do
you
it. It's
say it?
quite normal.
I say there. I don't know. There. I put a D on it.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, but there, things like that. But that was why it was years ago.
Yeah.
I just can't speak very
What a
well. I just
wonderful topic.
merge all my words all at
Yeah.
once.
Anyways, tell me about your high school and college
High
experience.
school. So what do you call it? Did my again me as well. So
Opposite to
we're
me and
different.
Noelle,
We're different
Yeah.
views over. So you don't have the grammar school system in the way that used to do a test. So when we in our last primary school year, when you're 11 years of age, you do 3 tests, and there's maths and English, and you get your best 2 scores make your score. So you do 3 tests,
Okay.
and so it's like from October to November, so it is something like that.
Okay, wait.
So
Yeah,
you do your 3 exams, and then you get your results, And from that result, it's out of 100 and I want to say 100.
Josh, I actually can't listen to you sometimes. It gets ridiculous. This is like literally what he does all the time. It gets so ridiculous. He goes into detail.
Right.
Literally.
Right. Anyway, I did my what we call AQE. You do your test, you get your result, okay?
Yeah.
And from that result, you can go to any school. So you can go to any school.
But what was your experience like being in a school where everyone's like very similar?
Yeah. It relates to me telling you that the reason I went to my school was because I went to get the exam. Because you don't go to that school if you don't get good results.
I need a minute to start.
Anyway, so I went to what you call Bangor Grammar. And it was all bloke school.
Sick,
okay.
Bangor Grammar.
Yeah, it was all bloke school. And went in 11,
You didn't go to
12 years.
school?
No.
You're
all
very
bloke
normal
school.
for a guy who went to an all-girl boys school.
Yeah, I know. Well, I don't know. We don't know what he got up to when he played
Did you go to a
rugby.
mixed school as well?
Yeah, we don't have many of them.
I mean, there's not many of you in general, so you don't have many schools, are you? If it's a small town, it has like...
Well,
one or two
there's
schools.
one secondary school, then the other town has a secondary school, then Stanley at like another. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we don't have really.
Tell us why you ended up where you ended up. Go on. You're telling the story now, anyway.
So it's 3 schools. Wind you up now.
Right.
Anyway, so what do you call? Yeah, I mean, life wasn't too bad. So I just, do you mean you're in school? What, 12 years of age?
Yeah.
I mean, sport was my thing until it wasn't. So playing lots of sport. Used to walk around the building. It was all good. It was all grand.
I used to walk around the building. Oh my god.
It was all good. It was all grand. No, I mean,
I love this.
it was
Being in a boys,
being in a boys'
all
school.
boys, mostly white school.
Yeah.
On
Did you have-
topic of the
wait,
podcast.
Did you
Yeah.
have any non-Irish friends like yourself growing up?
What do you mean by non-Irish? Do you
So,
mean like
English, Kurdish, black?
no?
No.
But there was an ethnically Irish people.
So
If that's-
here's one thing I've recognized about Josh. Josh is. Let me phrase properly. You are the most likable person I've met since starting at John Moores. By far, I feel like everyone likes Josh.
Yeah.
Tutors love Josh. Students love Josh.
Do you get away with
I
it?
don't know how
Everyone loves
much.
Josh.
Yeah.
I made a friend with a friend of Josh's last night.
Oh
Samuel,
yeah.
randomly.
Who?
It's some guy who we just meet at SLB.
Oh.
But do you know what I mean? Like, I made a friend because I knew Josh. That's how much people love Josh. So what I'm asking you is, growing up in an area where everyone's the same as you, you are very easily integrating and getting along with everybody. Is
Yeah.
that you,
Oh,
or
that's
is that like
That's how
something from back
you're
home?
raised. That's how you.
Yeah,
were
well, I think
raised,
that's why I was raised. But I'm very lucky to be raised by my parents because I wasn't.
Shout out to Josh's parents.
Shout
by
out
the
to Angela and Paul.
Yeah.
Angela. I did say I said Angela.
Angela and Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm very lucky because
And the one sibling you have.
I'm siblings
Yeah, and
as well,
Abby's
yeah.
the same as you. Like Abby's.
Yeah, I'm really lucky. Like I wasn't baptized. That's a big deal
Is
where
that
I'm
what
from.
makes you lucky?
No, it's a big deal. I whenever I grew up, I didn't have to go to church, and I didn't have to go to mass.
What's
Which-
mass?
Really, like
Catholic
yeah,
church,
and
mass.
that's a big
That's
thing
a
where
huge
they're
thing.
from.
Like
yeah.
so, like it's a big thing in terms of like you're only as
No, I
good.
get
you're
you.
only
It's
as
like
good.
me
you're only-
not going mosque if I didn't want to, or something like that.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean.
Josh
Like,
had choices basically.
I had
His parents
choices. I
allowed
was
him
allowed
to have the
I was allowed
choices.
choices, and I was allowed to keep finding more choices. Like I mean, I've always questioned everything
You've
in the
always been
world.
open-minded.
Yeah, I've always
Yeah.
been questioning everything. Like I've spent all my life asking why. So like, why does that work? And if why, then why does that work that way? You know, why does that transistor work? Like, how does the camera work? You know, I've always questioned why.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
And then
yeah.
like whenever I don't know when it was. I think it was probably like, I think somewhere in my mid from like,
20s?
no, I don't know. Like I mean, I've always had the attitude that I've just always wanted to get on with everyone. If that makes any
I
sense.
mean, you do it very well, yeah.
Like I've always just wanted to get along with everyone. So I think when you want that, it's easier to happen. It's easier to materialize
Yeah.
whenever your attitude is already fixed
Yeah.
to wanting to be open to meeting more people and
Fair point.
integrating.
But, like,
I
you're-
want to hear what people saying. You know.
Yeah, but it's like you're completely different to other people. Like
Yeah,
even like for example, like people. So a lot of people Josh went to school with are here for uni as well, and like he's like lived with them and everything and blah blah blah. But like they are the complete opposite. Like personally, they are so close minded.
Why are you so special?
Like, but your sister's the same. Like even
So
like
it must be the parents.
yeah, it is your parents because
Well,
you
no, it's the environment. That's the point I was trying to bring. The
environment at home.
Yeah, yes, the environment at home is huge in Northern Ireland, because if your dad is a God-fearing orange man, you're gonna have if your dad's a God-fearing orange man or God-fearing.
What does that mean, orange man?
Orange man is the orange man is a, what do they even call themselves? They're a group of it's huge. The Orange Men, have you not heard of them?
I've never
huge.
heard of them.
They came from Holland. So William of Orange, you want to look him up there? William of Orange. It's basically the Orange Men is all comes from a battle that happened like 1715 or something stupid. It all comes from a battle 200-300 years ago, and they call it, and the Orange Men is formed around that. There's in Holland, in England, in Wales. No, it's all around the UK.
This is wavy.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my man now. He looks kind of dapper still.
Yeah, he's probably wearing a sash, isn't he? Oh no, that's William of Orange. I know, but I'll show you what Orange Men look like. That's William of Orange. This is what Orange Men look like. So they wear a wee sash. But the point I'm making is that because my dad didn't force me to go to church and didn't bring me up, like my dad was raised Protestant. My mum was raised Catholic.
But they let you choose.
Yeah. And I was.
Oh, was that these guys there?
Yeah. That's Orange Men.
Why do the Dutch love the colour orange?
They're not Dutch now.
They're not Dutch.
No, but William of Orange is Dutch, and
But they're not Dutch.
No, they'll be from
But in general, it just seems like
that's
Dutch people.
Belfast, so it is.
Dutch people like the colour orange. It represents their football kit. I don't know much. I should stop. I have family in the Netherlands.
Yeah, you're saying, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think when I was like 15, 6, I don't know, when I was like 12 to like 17, and that's sort of like growing up age, I sort of made like things in my head that I wanted like to do. So I don't like lettering. So like,
oh yeah,
do you know what I mean? So like it's things in my head that I've like fixed to myself. So I've always wanted to be the most approachable person. I've always wanted to speak to anyone and everyone and listen and hear what they have to say. And I've always wanted to have friends of all shades of the spectrum. You know what I mean? I've always wanted to have the most fun that I can have. And the way to have the most fun is to have the most fun with the people around you.
Yeah. But this is what I mean, like...
He's very cultured.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what I mean, like, why... And a lot of, to be honest, well, the Northern Irish people I've met here, a lot of them are very... I think because they're in England now, they're so, like, they're not, like, black, white, like, they just don't care. But, like, it's interesting that, like, coming from like a very white place, like you can still be open to like meeting other people. This is what I mean, like when I'm talking about, oh, there's not really an excuse, because like you can come from a white place, it doesn't mean you have to be racist and you have to prejudge people. Do you know what I mean? This is what I mean when I say there's not
racism isn't something that's like born. It's like you're not born racist. You're not born with hate. Well, there's a small, but like it's a numbers game. There's a small number of the people just born in the world that are born bad and not.
Do you believe that? Wait, do you actually believe that?
I mean, like if numbers like it's like 70.
Like, do you think
people,
for Hitler it was a foregone conclusion?
No. So like,
I think circumstances plays the biggest factor.
Yeah. But I just
how
mean
you deal with them.
Yeah, I just mean in terms of like people like sometimes there's like psychopaths and like that. Like all different spectrums of like. Not every psychopath
are
is a bad
saying
person.
In theory,
I just mean that in theory, across the spectrum of the world, there are people technically born bad. Now they don't necessarily do bad things. But the thing I'm trying to say is no one's born with hate in them. Hate is a thing that's
it's a product of your environment.
It's a product of your environment and it's a product of what you want as well. The typical things like a gay son in a straight family. It's all straight, and then like the son, what do you call it? Is it alienated from the gay?
Can be, yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like
especially in certain cultures.
Yeah. So like it's a product of your environment. Do you know what I mean? If you want to be more open, you'll be more open.
One second, you guys can actually.
But like in terms of like I believe people aren't born with hate. I believe hate is self-taught and learned around.
Or experience.
Yeah.
Learned around your experience and who you interact, and like it's something. It's like if you're 5 years of age and what do you call like a dog jumps out and attacks you.
You'd be scared of dogs.
Most people are scared of dogs, and then it's like them like if you're 15 years of age and or 10 years of age and some. All the things that like clad.
There's a Family Guy clip of Hitler in the gym just before he gets.
Which is like working out.
Yeah, and obviously he's bare skinny, he can't really lift, but then he sees a really jacked Jewish man with the ladies. According to Family Guy, Family Guy takes the piss.
Yeah.
And he's like stereotypically Jewish, big nose. Well, stereotypically they're not jacked, but you know the thing. Yo, that thing's kind of wavy. What's that? What do you call that? Like those braids that they have, Jewish people.
Well, their hair.
Oh,
their locks.
No, they're not locks. It's just like because they don't.
No,
they
have
have
a lock of hair.
Yo, going back to your point, people are born with hate. Her point was very valid. If you could be so cultured, why are some people around you not so cultured? And then you said, look, it's my parents. I mean,
It's the way I was brought up, and it's the way I was allowed to be raised as well. So
yeah, but that you can see why like it was a shock, like to be around people like you and like the few people that I know here from Northern Ireland, like who accept me to be around them people, then to go there and then your friends from there to treat me the way that they did. Like you can see why that was just so. It's like I wasn't even expecting that. I didn't expect it. Well, I know, but like obviously I wouldn't have expected that because I would have thought, well, even though they're from like a place that's so white, like people have came from there and they're completely fine. So, but also I think it comes down to kind of staying in that. All of them have stayed in that town. Do you know what I mean? When you stay in the same place and you don't allow yourself to meet new people, it's kind of. That's what's happened, but that's why the people who are maybe in England are a little bit more open because they're around people from like everywhere and they can't really stick to them opinions, can they?
But that was the point I was making about mass immigration.
Fair point.
Yeah. It's just like it.
Yeah, but then your sister hasn't left. Better. Your sister still stayed there.
We'll get better.
And like I said, your sister still stayed there, and she's completely like, and also when I said like there's ways to. Asked like your sister stayed there and the way she even asked questions about my hair like was just completely not offensive, but then other ones who are in the same circumstance older than her who stayed there as well were like have said offensive things about my hair. Do you know what I mean? So it's like how does that
happen?
Well, yeah, it's not really how I know how it happens, but it's like you almost can't really like you can't keep excusing like people's ignorance by like the way that they were the place that they were born because other people were born in that same place and aren't like that.
One thing I would say about that in general though, because even like I'm from Manchester, right? And I went to a very, very mixed high school and I still heard constant racist, insensitive jokes.
Yeah.
So it's not even just areas where Josh is from and everyone's white. Like the most racist comment I have ever heard, a guy I knew quite well, I considered him a friend. He was mixed race. And I'm not judging him because he's like 15, 14, he's a kid. The most racist thing he said, and this is in Manchester by the way, so it might shock you. We were playing football and there just happened to be a bunch of us that were Pakistani or Muslim. He'd be like, look at them chasing the ball like it's Mecca. Like that is borderline blasphemy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that is the most racist thing I've ever heard in my life. And it was said by a very decent, regular young man who lived and probably still does in a very cultured.
I don't think even living in a cultured city can make you like not have them opinions. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't think place is that big of a factor in terms of.
That product of environment isn't the only thing.
It can't be
the only thing. It's not the only thing. If
you're from Manchester, if you're from Manchester or Liverpool, by the time you're 18, you've made friends with a lot of ethnicities, right? It could be that if you're in Liverpool, you've made Yemeni friends, black friends, Irish friends, right? 3 common cultural types here. Manchester, Pakistani is very common, black is very common. Do you see what I'm trying to say? So by the time you're kind of developing your brain, you've met all these people, and yet you still have racism. Things just go and they go through the cracks in the pave. And I always think to myself, surely they must be learning it from somewhere, especially if they're kids. They're hearing it from somewhere.
It's so weird how it works.
Are these comments acceptable at home that would not be acceptable at school?
I think lack of education. Like I think the
lack of education massively.
No, but like lack of education, like on history, even like the more you know about history, the more you know why like certain things you can and can't say, and why certain things are offensive, and why people. If you learned about history in US segregation, you would know why like people wouldn't really want to be called coloured. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's all to like if you knew history, you'd understand why. So I think it is education plays a massive like factor into that, and also schools, especially like curriculum, should teach more. You don't. I did history in A level, and you did literature. Like we just did British history.
What did you know about racism before you came to Liverpool? Like, was it self-learned? Was it school?
You mean like my own life experience?
Yeah,
what
were
I
you
know?
educated in school about it at all?
I mean, we did
'Cause I know
slave
you were.
trade.
Yeah,
You
we
did
did
slave-
this.
you did slave
Yeah, we
trade.
did the slave trade.
But
The generic stuff.
That
Yeah,
was
yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
That was literally the worst
Did you
month
guys
of my
also watch
life.
The movie Roots?
Yes, and we had to watch it in school, and everyone called me Kunta Kinte.
Oh,
no,
That was literally the worst time of my life.
No.
Everyone called me. Yeah,
No.
you haven't watched
I
Roots,
haven't
have you?
seen- I
It
haven't
is.
seen Roots,
The
no.
film is really like
It's a good
graphic,
movie,
isn't it?
but
Yeah.
That is just like...
And everyone called me Kunta Kinte, and like when the teacher was like, "Oh, we're doing slavery next term," everyone literally stared at me. Like that is really horrible.
That is really
I mean, that's
bad.
not funny.
Everyone called me Kunta Kinte. Like that is actually really nasty.
That is really racist.
Like that is horrible. You can't do that.
just I don't know. I can't think of this.
Yeah, the film's actually really sad though. It's really graphic, the film, but it's an educational film. Like it is.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a very educational film, but...
Imagine being taught that, watching the film, and then still calling the only, like, not even like it's not like I'm not even from where he's from. Like he was from Africa. Like
He's Muslim as well, isn't he?
yeah, I think it was. Yeah,
It's mad. It's like they couldn't find anyone else black, and they just went to Noelle. And
yeah.
Yeah, bad.
I know.
I will also say, a lot of my friends made the Kunta joke a lot, but even the black ones.
Yeah.
When we started watching Roots.
And then again, it's like you need to set that example. Like if you think what I don't like personally, I like there's certain things like if you're going to set that example as a black person, see them sort of jokes, then that's just white people are just going to feed into that and be like they think they can say it. Both parties shouldn't. Do you know what I mean?
It's like when white people think they can say the N-word because everyone else says it, or or black people say it.
Personally, I don't say that word, and I don't like when if a black person tries to refer to me as that word, I'll be like, don't call me that. Like, and a lot you'll find it's like more the younger generation because the older generation of black people would not use that word.
This is what I was saying too. Like I was raised in Northside,
Yeah.
and I heard that word way less around my neighbors and the people in my area, so adults, than I do when I go to school.
And it's this rap culture as well. The rap culture of like it's so disgusting. Like especially like US as well, because obviously you've got the older generation who were like children of people who were slaves. They would not ever use that word. Like they would not use it. It's not about reclaiming the word. Personally, I don't really agree with that. Obviously, it's people can disagree, but
I mean, and there's also it doesn't help, but it's not really the answer. But like, do you know, like video games? Do you ever play COD much?
No.
Like
All I know is Muslims are not identified really nicely in there.
really.
Call of Duty, obviously.
I mean, everyone goes through the ringer in Call of Duty, you know, like they pick the baddies, you know, every time, you know. So I mean, it's not really. I mean, I think everyone have it, but no, but like with like COD, like on those sort of games, that culture of like playing with your mates and then playing against obviously random people. But when you're playing, you're like between the age of like 8 to like 15. But like what I mean by 8 to 15, I mean like 8 to 15 of my 8 to 15. So
What does that mean?
What?
the burst of like you know why gaming now is a bit dead. Because you don't game anymore, do you?
Oh,
that's
no,
I mean the
no.
culture's like a bit dead for our age
When
now.
he was gaming.
Yeah,
Oh.
like when I'm saying when we were all gaming, you know, like the culture from like 8 years of age to about 15, 20, and then when I was 10 years of age, the 15, 20-year-olds then would have been immersed in this culture. Is what I'm saying, you know, that sort of like spectrum of age. Like when you're playing the video games, it was always like basically you're obviously trying to have a bit of fun, but then you're on the mic, you're chatting, so you are, and then like some other fellow.
You're cussing people out.
Yes, that's what no, but like the other so the other fellas are like, oh yo, something like that, and then like, oh yeah, no, so then it's like very much like back and forth. Oh you're shit,
No,
no,
but that's
and it's like back and forth.
But that's
so that
not
like
racism so much as swearing.
that culture harbored it and encouraged the N word shouted at this.
Or jokes.
It encouraged the put down comment.
It makes sense.
Rather than it being just like about race, it's more about that's the thing that hurts you, so I'm gonna cut you down on it.
Yeah.
Because you're cutting me down. Rather than it being like, oh, I actually am like.
But sometimes
obviously it's horrible.
8-year-old kids.
Yeah, but they're not like it's not like that 8-10-year-old kid actually like seriously dislikes black people.
Yeah,
or, like,
no,
seriously
I know.
like that.
It's
But,
all
like,
about role
they've
models
heard,
and
they've heard this word and they know it hurts that person, and then they know if they make a terrorism joke at a Muslim, or they make a terrorism joke at an Irishman. They make these, they're like cut down jokes. So when you're playing gaming in that culture, like when people are firing digs off at each other, it became like, it's not right, but it became too easily acceptable for each-body, to throw digs at each other. Because you throw that dig, but then the other fella would throw another dig back, and then just go back and forth, So that sort of culture is sort of like gone away a bit now, because now the kids are a bit younger. But that culture is like kind of in us, because we're now that generation. And we were that generation that when we were 15, 10 years of age, not everybody played games, but when you're 15 years of age, loads of people were just sniping off at each other, and that's sniping.
No, I get that completely. Yeah, it's very interesting. Very, very interesting. So you're saying that kind of breeds an insensitivity
to like, sometimes you know wrong from right, but sometimes you don't know wrong from right because you've spent that much time on wrong, Like,
can I ask a question? Who was like your role models growing up? Sport-wise, like, or like... Do you
anybody?
Or like, I don't know.
You go first, Jebster.
Oh, that's a bit easier for me.
Yeah.
I think that's the point.
Keane.
No, but
no, I just wanted to like know.
No, she means like, have you seen somebody that looked like you? Can you?
No, that's not. No, I asked the question. Who was your role model growing up?
My role model.
Keep it going.
Well, I mean, it depends. Different stages of my life. So.
Oh my God! Right, Josh. I'm not going into deep history. Just tell me the biggest role model in your life, like a list of a few people who significantly impacted you and you looked up to.
Yo, I realised my mic was turned down because I just put this on.
I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Like rugby players or football players?
Good. I asked the rugby player.
Anyone else? Like a teacher or
any
whatever?
particular person?
To be honest, nobody, I'm scanning through my head here, so like there's no one single big person in my head.
Right, you sit and think.
Right.
I'll have a wee think.
The thing is, I never recognize any of these people as a role model, but if you ask me like, who did I admire being a United fan, I absolutely loved Wayne Rooney growing up. But I never looked at him and thought, I want to behave and act like Wayne Rooney. I loved Michael Jordan. Space Jam was one of my favorite movies ever. I thought LeBron James was absolutely amazing because just his work ethic was unmatched. I mean, a lot of these major athletes. So for me, that's what I took from them. So whenever I watched these pro athletes, I didn't think I want your personality because I didn't know anything about their personality.
Yeah, it's mostly like someone who you look up to and like
But I looked
admire.
at that. So this is the funniest thing, right? I used to be, and my listeners actually won't know this about me because I only started my podcast the last 2 years. I used to be an absolute gym rat. I really did. That's how much I used to work out and train like an absolute athlete.
Creatine.
Because no, never. No? Everything was natural. I was young as well. I mean, I'm still young. But my point is like when I didn't give two shits about education before, like I focused on architecture and things like that. I used to love going to the gym. I used to swim. So my schedule would literally be 4 days in the gym, 3 days swimming, right? My point being, what inspired me more than anything else was the athletes and looking how shredded they were. So my dad or my uncle would have dumbbells and I would just sneak them even before the age of 16 or 15 because I'd be watching pro wrestling and Triple H has the greatest physique known to man, and I don't know he's on steroids, but I just think if I knock down 100 press-ups a day and shit, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I didn't have any...
Your role model was like an athlete, really?
My role models were never people because I knew them. I couldn't say, even Kanye, for example, as a music artist, I couldn't say he was a role model because I didn't know what he was like, really. With rappers, you kind of doing a bit, but do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
But I did still find it a bit inspiring to just see these athletes and how. So I think I took the work ethic from them. But then my parents were ridiculously hardworking, so I don't know if it was athletes or whatever.
I think I maybe should listen to that word instead of role model. Influences, I would say maybe more.
Influences.
I would say maybe because I wouldn't really say I had like role models in my head. But I would be able to go through my life and like this was an influence, this was an influence,
what
this
about
person
you,
was an
Noelle?
influence.
Let's go to
What about
you.
you?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No, because I just thought it was like when you speak about role models, like in terms of like when you're a kid, like you kind of look for people that look like you.
Well, in that case, I had no one.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Like, and this is like, it's a big topic now. Like when you're growing up, like watching films and stuff, like no one looks like you. Even like obviously the Disney films, obviously now it is so nice because there's like what's the...
That just
Little
hit
Mermaid.
me.
There's the Little Mermaid, but there's the other one, I can't even remember the name of it.
There's a new princess which is black.
Yeah, and
in
there was a
Disney.
bit of controversy, but it's like, you don't understand, like, did you see the reactions of, like, the black kids, like, watching that?
No, but wait, I gotta ask this. So, on my Pop Culture 2 podcast, we discuss things like this, and my guest was Awais, he's Pakistani, and I asked him that. I said, Awais, so you might have a different answer, so let me ask you. Growing up, not seeing people that were mixed race or black on TV, did that affect you?
Yeah, definitely. Like, even
So
seeing,
when you
like...
watched Friends, did you ever think, why wasn't one of the 6 friends black?
Yeah, it's like, because it makes you feel more isolated, because you're like...
That's very interesting.
It makes you feel like you're completely alone, because you look on the TV, no one looks like you. Look on the news, no one looks like you. Teachers,
But
even
wait,
like
same for me. But
yeah,
that didn't affect me,
and I'd
though.
say but when you look back, but then as well, it's a bit different for me, because your parents are like from where
fully Kurdish.
yeah, do you know what I mean? So like, you were kind of also raised around people who
So
did.
is it that subconsciously I grew up in the UK knowing I was an outsider, whereas you being part English, right? Are you half English?
Yeah, but you're like, maybe
Did
it
you
was
feel
like
you had to fit in because you were English? English was your first language.
yeah,
You couldn't fit in though because no one around you felt or seemed
Yeah.
like you. Whereas I kind of have this notion that I'm a first generation immigrant anyway, so I'm not surprised
Yeah.
if the characters don't
and
look
you're like
me.
around sort of that, but like maybe like I was sort of looking for that role model, because my family, I wasn't part of my side of the family that was black, so like
So you and your siblings that are all mixed race
yeah,
always spend time with the white side of the family.
yeah, like we don't speak to my dad, like we haven't seen my dad for years, and like
Right.
he, like his family, we don't know, do you know what I mean? But I would even still say it's still like, even though you were raised like with around like your culture still, like I would still have thought like not seeing people that, not having them role models would still have like impacted in some like.
I don't know. I think
Yeah.
maybe it's just me as a person. It didn't really.
And I
bother
guess
me.
Manchester is also a little bit more.
To be honest, I didn't know that many Kurdish people growing up. I'm an only child.
Yeah.
The only Kurdish influence I had in this country was my mum, my dad primarily, and they split up when I was 8. But I think Kurds are generally not stereotypically very patriotic. I did go to a Kurdish school briefly
Yeah.
for like 3-4 years where
Or here.
no, so when I say Kurdish school, I mean like it was just a weekly thing. It
Oh
wasn't
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they had that where I met Kurdish kids, but then aside from that, I
And
only knew-
you would say you're Kurdish, like I would say I'm English. Do you know
exactly,
what I mean?
that's what I
Yes.
meant
Yeah.
earlier when I said
Yeah.
I expect to
See,
feel
I
like
would-
an outsider.
See, that's it.
Because I consider myself a first generation immigrant, whereas you expect yourself to be English
Yeah.
because you are half English. Your mother,
Yeah.
is your mother white?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So for me, it doesn't matter if none of the characters look like me because I don't expect them to, but you do.
Yeah.
Because you want to feel like you're English and that is represented.
And
Which-
even like
which is completely
yeah.
fair.
And even like in America as well, like America's got a very big population of like black people as well, but like there's not like the role models there, and it's like
I'm actually trying to think. The only shows I can remember growing up that had black people in them, Everybody Hates Chris. I absolutely loved that. I mean, I absolutely love Chris Rock anyway. But I'm trying to think, were there any other TV shows that...
and it's the way they present, like it's the way that they present like TVs and films will present a person from like a minority background, like they're always presented in the same way. Like you'll have someone from like Pakistan's always presented, or India's always presented as like a smart nerd. Do you know what I mean? Like in TV, so it's like feeds in
Typecasting.
yeah, the way that it feeds into the like stereotype sort of thing. But even like swimming, like I didn't because I like wrote a bit about that when I did PE about role models. Like I swam for 10 years, but I didn't know any black swimmers that were big.
That's kind of mad.
Yeah.
That's kind of mad. It's
Think
those
of the
breakthroughs.
GB like English team is literally like
That would make her
all
think
white.
maybe she can't reach the top because people like me aren't.
Yeah,
there.
but you don't realize at the time. But now looking back, like it is quite important to have them like role models to look up to, like to think what it is sort of like. I think obviously if you're white, like your role models play different parts. But if you're someone who's a minority in a country that is white, to see someone that looks like you doing well is very important.
Oh, for sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's very important. Then obviously, like, being white, it doesn't really matter because you're always going to see people who are white doing well. But to see someone that looked like me, even doing something as small as going to university or something like that would have been huge.
Who's
Do you
the
know what
first
I mean?
person that you saw as a role model that looked like you? And this could be later on in your life.
I honestly don't know though, because I didn't, back at home though, I didn't have anyone because no one actually looked like me. So my teachers were all white.
What on TV, personalities, famous people?
Nah.
So it was difficult in
Yeah.
that sense.
I would say, like, to be honest, now, Loyal Kano would definitely be like a role model.
Who, sorry?
He's a singer, but he's he's a poetic singer, isn't he?
What, a poetic.
Yeah, and
rapper,
he's
you'd
mixed.
say,
He's
more?
mixed race, and he sings about that, like raps about that, and do you know what I mean? It's interesting, and he speaks a lot about that as well.
I tell you one thing, guys. Growing up, it's like, because I was a first generation immigrant, no one ever let me forget it either. So the passport jokes are very common.
See,
But then the funny thing was, right, the kids that would call me an immigrant the most were immigrants themselves. It was the weirdest thing, because I feel
Yeah.
like the white kids knew they would get in trouble, but everybody else had an immunity
Thought that
card.
they couldn't get in trouble.
Yeah, no, that's true. They didn't get in trouble.
Yeah.
Mate, there's a particular so in year 10 and year 11 science, it was by far the worst in terms of being called an immigrant for whatever fucking reason. And we had a white teacher who kind of just looked at us all like absolute idiots. Like, he would just let us ramble on. It's like, you're wasting your own time. But the point is, the people that would make those comments to me were Pakistani, Libyan, like Kurdish.
all walks of life.
Except white. So whenever we talk about racism, I always come from a very interesting perspective, and I say to people, I'm like, funnily enough, most of the racism I experienced wasn't actually from white people.
Yeah.
And when I say that to people, they find it
I've heard
shocking.
that from people from Manchester. I've heard that quite a lot though. Like people from Manchester have also said to me, like, the minorities are the ones who are bad to each other.
Yeah, 100%.
Because the white of in the schools, the white are the minorities in a lot of Manchester schools.
It depends.
It depends
that's a
the
good point.
schools,
That's
yeah,
a good
but-
point.
The what?
But
Like the white people and the minorities.
yeah, there's certain
the white.
places.
No, I just misheard all.
in
That's-
some
it's just blurred
Manchester
into one.
schools, yeah.
Like I know, for example, like Charlton High School was very mixed, but then there was other areas. But to Noelle's point, there's also a lot of accountability because Manchester has a culture of diversity. You can't get away with being racist, especially if you're
Yeah.
white.
Yeah,
So
you
the
can't,
white
yeah.
kids know they'll get in trouble and pulled aside, whereas the rest of us, we kind of feel like we have immunity. Mate, this probably won't. I don't know how much this will shock you. Actually, it might shock you. It definitely shocked me. I would have black friends that would deliberately play the race card if they got in trouble. So, and we were just kids. So where are we learning this from? We know racism is bad, but then we manipulate it in certain ways. It got to a point where it would influence other cultures, and they would play other race cards, and it's messy, It was actually, it's very messy.
Yeah.
I saw your face there. It was a bit shocked.
I've heard
didn't it?
I've seen people do that before, like play the race card.
And then the white teacher specifically affects them the most, and they don't want to
But
be
you know
seen
what?
as
I
racist.
think the people who play the race card are people who are in cities like Manchester where it's so diverse.
That they can.
Yeah, because I feel like
Because you could have never played the race card in your high school.
no, because they wouldn't have took it. Like, do you know what I mean?
Revoked.
They wouldn't have took that card. So
Doesn't work here.
yeah.
Interesting, right?
Declined.
Yeah,
But then
very true.
I even though I just made that point about the most racism I faced was from other foreigners, I've hardly ever faced any real racism, in all honesty. I can't sit here and say I felt segregated or I wasn't allowed to go to certain places. Everywhere I went, there was someone else that was an outsider just like me.
Yeah.
And the white people also always made me feel very welcome. The first ever person to teach me about Black history was an absolute legend of a lady. She was called Miss Nuttall. She used to work in my primary school in St. Margaret's. I've not seen her since I left St. Margaret's, right? But this woman was a legend. She taught me and all Pakistani kids, Arab kids, Black kids about Black history when we were in year 5 and 6. And she would go out of her way to do this. It actually wasn't her job. She was like a support worker who would work with the kids that have just come to the country and they need to learn English. But on Fridays in our calendar, we'd have that golden time. A lot of high schools had that. You guys had that. What she would do was she volunteered. I don't even know if she got paid for this, really. I think she volunteered to educate us on Black history. And this lady was as white as you could be, as ginger as you could be. So do you know what I mean? It's like, maybe in my school, a lot of us wouldn't be as cultured if it wasn't for this particular person who was white, by the way.
Yeah.
I had a lot of Black teachers.
Yeah.
Jamaican Black and Jamaican Black, actually. I didn't meet that many. Actually, no, I did. There was Somalis and Sudanese. But in terms of my teachers, they were mostly Jamaican, British, Indian. But you see what I mean? That breakthrough in my experience was made by a white woman.
Yeah.
And I'm learning about Marcus Garvey and Malcolm X.
That's what Ethan's middle name's after. Marcus Garvey.
Marcus Garvey. He was very pro-Black, going back to Africa and those type of things, right? Like nationalize. He did say go back to Africa, right?
Marcus Garvey I don't know loads and loads about him.
Because I know, like, for example, Martin Luther King wanted integration, but certain other figures didn't. Like Elijah Muhammad didn't want integration. He was like, we've had all these years of living amongst each other violently, let's just separate. Yeah. But Marcus Garvey was definitely, because I don't want to say it and have it sound like it's being racist, but Marcus Garvey was very much pro-Black in that sense. But I imagine you weren't really taught Black history.
The education system where I'm from and the education system where you're from needs to be like revoked and improved, I think, fundamentally across all aspects.
But this is the point. This is the point that I was trying to make. Like, I don't think that it was the system, it was the individuals, it was the teachers. That lady that I referred to who set up
the Black History class, that's an individual person.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's all it takes. By the way, I grew up...
She probably was like, they probably all said like, oh, do you want to do that? And she's like, oh yeah, we'll do that.
She was like the cultural spearhead for that school. She would have us in assembly singing songs from different cultures that I didn't even know what I was saying. Some of them are African, some of them are maybe like different cultures. We would play the steel bands, which is a very Jamaican thing, no? Mm-hmm. I played the African drums. So, yeah, it's about leadership. Where you have good leadership, where you have people willing to make a difference, things happen. And that's really all you need. And that could be a school that is predominantly white, but it takes someone to take the initiative and to do the right thing.
Like, did you learn about the suffragettes even?
Yes, I also learned about suffragettes.
See, like, I didn't learn about the suffragettes through my school. I know about the suffragettes, like, but I didn't know. I went to a bloke school. And we have a sister school, which is an all-girls schools. Yeah. So we're like not directly linked, but we are linked to the two of them. But like we weren't even taught about the suffragette movement, in school.
I'm trying to get on Marcus Garvey fact right.
Much world history.
But the suffragette movement was actually, it was very big for women's rights, but it wasn't actually women's rights. It was white women's rights.
But then at the time, were there any ethnic women to fight for? Yeah. In the
when like I was like actually reading about this the other day, like the whole feminist movement, and it actually has like throughout the years it has actually excluded like the minority like groups. Mm-hmm. It's like it's been to get white women, do you know what I mean, to that place.
Yeah, it's like we had to take it in levels. First men had the rights, then women, then white women, white middle class women maybe. So yeah, even just as a society, we are probably very lucky to be born into a very inclusive time period of history. All you have to do is go back 40, 30 years.
Yeah, not even that long ago. Like.
And we're feeling it, yeah. I mean, even now we see instances.
Yeah.
Do you know what else is... Oh, mate, you'll love this.
Cool.
I think Mohamed Salah has made a big difference,
Do you think so?
I genuinely do.
I hope he has, but I still, like...
Because
Like, you mean like Liverpool, do you mean?
In Liverpool specifically.
I think he has. And, like, you've got the ode to Mo. And I'm sure he has, but then, like, you hear the old...
Because I was always... Before coming to Liverpool, before moving here, I live here now, right? I was under the impression that against Muslims, Liverpool wasn't the best place to be. But I genuinely feel like Mohamed Salah just made a big difference. There's a large Yemeni community here as well.
I would say he definitely has made a huge difference. Yeah. Because it's like those sort of figures in the world, like friendly face, and then it takes away from all the bad. Do you know what I mean? Like, so Mo Salah, it's good. It's good for, what do you call...
For me, even as a United fan, I absolutely love Mo Salah. Do you know why? Because he also represents my religion really well. When he goes to sujood after he scores, that's a big deal for me. I know there are a lot of people who don't like religion, who don't like Islam, but as a Muslim, that's such a big deal. Because prior to that, I don't even know if it was acceptable to openly display that you're Muslim on a football pitch. And then he just kept doing it. Demba Ba used to do it as well. But you know what I mean? Those things make a big difference, and that's how inclusivity is created. Someone has to make the breakthrough. Someone has to be a representation that everybody likes, and then it's one domino and it knocks down all the rest.
Yeah. It's like stepping stones, you see. You would like, it's got to lay them all out properly for that, other things to happen. And it's like you say, like getting people into the right positions, getting them into the right bit of spotlight, getting more diverse teachers, and then you get more diverse, political figures, and you get more diverse councilmen, you get more diverse, people that you can see in your life, and it all like fundamentally ends up being a good thing, because it increases, like humans are divided when they shouldn't be divided. There's only one race, the human race.
But I feel like we all subconsciously gravitate towards our own kind.
Oh,
so we are
100%.
free.
Every race is racist, but racism doesn't have to be a bad thing. No. You have to let me finish. You have to let me finish. I mean, it's like the word stereotype. Stereotype isn't necessarily a bad thing. You can have derogatory stereotypes, which are bad, but the essence of the word stereotype is a group of people, and that people could be all
like
United.
Irish people.
It could be like all United fans. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, but the description of racism is derogatory. Like, it is bad connotation. So racism is always
racism
a bad
is whenever
thing.
you act badly against
Wait,
someone.
let Josh finish.
Racism is whenever
You
act
said
bad.
racism isn't a bad thing.
No, you had to let me finish it.
Let Josh finish.
I'm saying, like, racism, like all races naturally will be like for their own.
Mm-hmm.
That's human nature. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's something you can't get out of it. Like you say, like
That's not racist though. Being for your own.
But I'm trying to say that everyone naturally is racist in the way that they're all naturally.
No, you're using the wrong words. Yeah.
Why? What's
You're using the wrong word. It shouldn't even be used. So what you're saying is that we all gravitate towards people that look like us.
Yes.
Eat like us.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So
you're attracted to your own.
Yeah. Oh, you see it all the time.
Yes.
We were sat down yesterday, and didn't I point out a particular group of people who are all of one race? And they feel more natural, especially when they're foreign and they come to this country at university.
Yeah.
You'll see it within Indian groups, Malaysian groups. The lights go off again. Okay. So as I'm making that point, Josh is turning the lights back on. People are more comfortable with their own race.
Yeah.
That does not make them racist.
Yeah.
To Josh's point.
You've used
that's
the
the point I'm making. Sorry.
Yeah.
You use the words like racist wrong.
Whenever someone says something like not racist, and then they said the word "but," but before they can finish the next word, somebody's already said something. It's kind of lost the point. That is the point I was.
No,
making.
you went racism isn't always bad. That's what you said.
But yeah. But
And it is
I was trying to finish. Very
Racism is bad.
Yes, I was trying to finish very.
But there was no finish.
I was trying to finish the way he said
Right,
that.
okay.
I
I meant
racism is bad. And we are three distinctive people, because not all of your friends are black and mixed race, right? Not
No.
all of your friends are Irish, and not all my friends are Middle Eastern and Kurdish. So we are very free, diverse people. But I could go into the building right now and grab a random Irish person, a random black person, and a random Kurdish person, and most of their friends might be of their own kind.
Yeah.
It does not make them racist, but maybe us three are just culturally diverse, and maybe that's why we're here discussing culture clash.
That's the big. But that's a big point. Is like the fix the big issues, and you get more people around everyone. Like
immigration is a great way to. Immigration is sad.
It's mixing more than immigration.
Immigration is sad in the sense that people sometimes come to this country out of running away from war, but it's necessary in this. But then there's diaspora.
What's diaspora?
Diaspora is moving somewhere, and it's not because of immigration. It could be through education. So you are a product of diaspora. You have come to England, to Liverpool.
Yes, the benefit of something you mean?
Yeah.
Benefit of it. Yeah. So that's what a diaspora is it? Okay.
My next podcast is actually on diaspora. But there's no point plugging it here, because this podcast, Culture Clash, is not coming out until after that one anyway. So that one's already been recorded and needs to be edited. Noelle, your points were very, very interesting. I think you were key to this conversation.
I wouldn't be quite cultural clash if it was just me and you going back and forth.
Yeah. The clash sense was definitely brought in by Noelle. Any final things that you want to say?
No.
I don't know how long we've been recording for.
I think we're doing okay, yeah.
It's been fun though.
Yeah. You?
Yeah.
At some point, everything has to end. I'd love to carry on, but we are.
Yeah, I would. I mean, you keep checking your phone. I'm content to keep going.
I'm tired. Like,
It can be draining to just sit and talk.
I know, because I can't sit for this long. Like, I need to stand up and walk.
I'm swinging you a little
same.
bit, but
ADHD.
that does enough for me. Swinging keeps me enough.
All right.
But yeah, thank you both for coming on. I really have enjoyed this.
Thank you for having
Hopefully,
us.
you're welcome, both of you. Hopefully Red Bull will sponsor this. Red Bull Cozy Clash.
I hope it was entertaining.
I thought it was brilliant, but it was a mixture between we had an entertaining podcast with some nice laughs and the serious topics that need to be talked about.
Yeah.
So thank you, everybody. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share, and all the usual. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care.
Cheerio.